Before we start our podcast today, we'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting,
the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging.
So what's your family going to say about that?
Oh, they're going to say,
Mum, you said, and you have to have a seat. You have to sit down and behave and not do anything. Mum, are you sitting down? Mum.
something like that. Something like that.
In that voice as well?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Ash has come over to see what's going on.
She just goes, are you all right?
Okay. So, ponder.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is Janine here and I'm speaking here with...
I'm Kevin and we're going to talk about something completely different today.
We're going to talk about ageing.
Yeah, like getting really bloody old. No?
I think you had a different title for the podcast.
I did.
We'll visit that later.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And my idea for the title was getting fucking old. Yeah, probably not what we're going to talk about.
No, maybe not what we're going to talk about. I'm not sure actually how we're going to talk about that. It just felt like it was something that both you and I are facing. Well, we all are in one way or another, getting older. And it was just a good topic to start to talk about. But I had it said once to me, or a couple of times by my own supervisor around, that some people can feel like they're dead at 30 and buried at 90. And I don't ever want to live like that. I want to be alive at whatever age I'm at. And so I guess that's always been my philosophy around being alive.
60 years of being a member of The Walking Dead. Wow, that's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Not that life has to be meaningful or purposeful. It just needs to feel well, I think. I mean, some people have illnesses and things to face. I guess I'm thinking about emotionally well.
Okay, yeah.
Give me some of your thoughts, Kevin.
Well, I'm 72, so I guess that's getting old.
Older.
Elderly. maybe older. But, I'm not having a great time at this point in my life, but and that'll pass. But in general, I don't take much notice of it. I look after myself and I'm pretty fit and do whatever I want to do. And I only gradually see that changing. But as long as I keep active, it doesn't change very much. So that's the physical side, though, isn't it? The mental side?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm somewhere between 5 years old and 72. And that varies an awful lot. So I've got my inner child that's somewhere between 5 and 10, and depending. And I've got Yell, who's always a teenager around about 18. And I've got me. So I've got all these different facets of me. And I like those three, which is an inner child and an inner teenager and me. And
you've got a working relationship with all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that keeps me young.
Yeah, okay.
So I
really like that.
I made a point of hanging around with younger people. And I guess I still do. And one of the reasons I did that was, I'm sorry, all of my peers out there, but anyway, this is true. For me, this is true, is that I would be talking, and I don't mean like this year or this decade. I mean like when I was about 50, maybe even younger than that, 40. In my 40s, that's when it started. I'd be talking to people or I'd join in a conversation and there's 40-year-old professionals and 40-year-old friends would be talking about their pensions and what they were going to do with it and all that sort of stuff. And so as I got older, I tended to hang around with the younger people who weren't so focused on that. And I'm in a position where I can do that.
I guess what you're talking about is younger thinking.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, I'm 60 next year.
Oh.
And take that back.
Ooh.
And physically, I'm really well. I'm strong. I still do a lot of physical exercise.
You got all that stuff out the back there.
I know. We
Yeah.
got the new monkey bar set.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, that's for me, the family, and the grandkiddies as well. Yeah. So, for all of us. And Asha, she loves the swing. So,
She does.
yeah.
That's really cute.
It's super cute.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I've always felt like Nigel Lovelace, 11 years of age, almost 12.
Who's Nigel Lovelace?
That's Paul Hogan's one of his characters.
Oh, I wasn't
know.
born here, so yeah.
Oh,
That's from the TV shows.
it
yeah?
is from the TV show.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's those parts of myself, and I always feel 11 years of age, almost 12. Like there's this little 12-year-old that's always playing around, and that's a big part of me.
Yeah, I get that.
And then I definitely have my inner child. So
Yeah.
I keep her very protected, and she comes out to play. And then there's very much the adult part of me that does all the adult stuff,
What does the adult do?
runs a business
Yeah, okay.
and
Yeah.
does all the common and boring but important tasks. Those can be mundane but important, so I'm grateful for those.
Puts petrol in the car.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. One of the key things I've been saying is that it takes a lifetime to find out who you are.
Mm.
And so when I think about that, I'm really grateful for this age that I'm at. And the older I'm getting, that appreciation is building, and I feel like I'm able to have different and wider opinions, I hope, on many things. Yeah.
I like hearing that.
What part?
It takes a lifetime to find out who you are. I've heard you say it many times, and I've heard
Yeah.
other people say it in different ways, and I really like that because I'm still learning, and I guess also because I don't want to start thinking of myself as old. I don't know how that is with other people. I don't know if that means I'm a Peter Pan, but I don't want to start thinking of myself as old because I don't want to be frail and be dependent and on someone else or something else.
We might go that way, Kevin. We might go that
Yeah,
way.
we probably will.
Yeah.
But I'd like it to stay as long as possible. So you know what my dream is. My
Tell
plan,
us.
my plan, not my dream. My plan is I'd have to tell the story. I don't think I've told this story in our podcast before. So
Far away.
I read about this tribe in South America. I think it was in the Andes, somewhere around Peru, and they were discovered. They just sort of walked out, and they'd never ever seen Western men before. So after some investigation, it was discovered that there was a lot of elderly people there. They didn't know exactly how old they were.
Okay.
And as time went on, they discovered that some of them were around about 110, 120, still fully capable of doing,
Were they the barefoot runners?
I don't know, I can't
Okay.
remember.
There's another group.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a similar story that I'm aware of. But
They-
carry on.
They were still there
Yep.
mentally and physically
Yep.
and still able to do stuff and look after themselves and were still part of the community.
Yeah.
And what they do,
Yeah.
there's a tradition amongst them that when they've had enough, however you want to put that, they go around over a period of time and say goodbye to family and friends and then let them know on which day it is. They go into their home and go to sleep and they don't wake up.
Ooh.
120.
Well, that feels really a gentle way to pass away. Or to die.
Fantastic. I'm sure that the universe will have different plans for me, but I would like that. That would
Okay.
be great. Yeah. And that means I've got somewhere around 50 years to go still, sort of. And I like reading stuff like, I think the last one was on jolly old Facebook, but, reading about an author who did his best work in his 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And he'd been an author all of his life, and it had been so, and then he got recognition and fame, and in his own words, did his best work in his 80s and 90s. And I
Yeah.
think that's brilliant.
Well, my hope has always been to grow older and wiser. Then I'm going to do perhaps my best work.
I suppose
Or
so,
I'm going to
yeah.
live my best self, if we want to put it that way. If it's not focused on work, but my best self will be as I'm older. And a couple of things that have influenced me is I have 2 daughters who have psoriatic arthritis. They have the psoriasis, but they have the companion disease psoriatic arthritis. So at young ages, in their teenage years, they have managed significant pain. And the difficulty and the trickiness around that of being a parent, not actually having to manage the pain, is I've watched them at a young age manage pain. And so then when I hear people who are older going, oh, I'm in pain, and whinging or, more whinging, because many of us will have levels of pain, then I have always thought, I'm so grateful that I haven't had that, and I've watched my amazing children experience such pain and go on to live well and to work through it. And so I just feel like, well, they've done it all before me, so whatever pain I've got, I'll be fine. So it's been, I've found it in a way can you be inspired by your children? You can.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, more so that if they can do it, I can do it. I can be fine.
Yep.
And the other part of my story in terms of getting older was that, I don't know, I'm learning so much more about myself than I still feel like that young person, just learning more and working out what I can do. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. So I'm not going to limit myself by an age. But if it means I've got to slow down and stop, that will be okay too.
I liked part of that, the last bit, which was I'm not going to limit myself. Slow down and stop, I don't know. Maybe.
But
Yeah, maybe.
then we may not be given a choice.
That's true, but
But
then that's different.
whilst we've got a choice,
Yeah.
we'll choose. Keep
Yeah.
choosing, Kevin, I'm thinking. But if the choice is taken away from us... Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say. Is you said you started hanging around with young people.
Yeah.
And keeping that young thinking. I think that for me it's been really important to spend time socially with not always the same crowd. And I think that I have learnt so much through mixing widely. And
That's probably what I meant.
and learning from those people around me so that I'm not stuck in my own culture and white privileged understanding. I guess moving in diverse and different social groups, just moving in all different social circles and people who are diverse, because I just think otherwise you just can have a limited experience of others as well as yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. My outlook would be like if I only spent my time with software developers.
Yeah.
Or with addicts in recovery.
Yeah.
Or, something like else,
Yeah. Yeah.
Authors, anything, it's just very narrow.
Yeah.
Or it's narrow. Sorry, everybody that does that. It's narrow. But so in order to widen my horizons, then just keep doing different things, yeah.
Because I think what happens is also we can get stuck in comparing ourselves to those people we spend time with.
Yeah.
So if we're spending time with the same types of people, the same socioeconomic outlook and financial circumstances as us, then we're going to be limited, and we can compare ourselves and we can judge others and judge ourselves. And I just think you can get stuck thinking and being the same way all your life. And I guess as I'm getting older, more so, I find so many different people really interesting and challenging and wonderful, and I can learn so much from them. You laugh. What are you laughing
I'm
at?
not laughing at you. I get that. I'm laughing at me because when you started to say that, I was like, yeah, some of them are boring too. And so, and on,
Boring too.
I
mean
did.
like you?
It's sorry.
Did you make a judgment on you as well?
Maybe. I mean, I have just spent. It's Monday, so we're doing this on a Monday, and I spent most of the weekend asleep or reading a book and beating myself up because I'm having a difficult time. And instead of going, yeah, I'm having a difficult time, and I'll go and do whatever I'm going to go and do, and know that this will pass. So yeah, so then when I hear something like that, it's like, yeah, some of them are really boring, and and that's probably true. But so what?
Yeah.
They're not necessarily boring. They just don't suit me.
Well, yeah, okay. I think sometimes that I've been that boring person, and I think that's okay too.
I was just going to say, what's wrong with that? I don't care if I'm boring. I don't care at all. I know I've been boring. I can hear the voices. I can hear one of my ex-partners saying, "My God, are you still sitting in front of that thing? You're going to do something else. It's 2:00 in the morning." Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So that's got nothing.
No. The opposite happens for me. Is like Greg, like, where did she go? And I'm still out in the garden, and it's with daylight saving. It's like 8:30 at night. And it's like, is she coming in? So I'm always out in the garden.
Isn't it good at the morning? I use an app on my phone so that I can see not just how officially long the day is, but it actually tells you the daylight hours. And we're up to something like 17 hours of daylight, which is great.
Lots of living hours and lots of sun that we can be in and amongst
Today
and around.
it wasn't a great weekend.
No, it was a bit rainy.
It was terribly raining. So yeah, aging. Maybe aging is just like everything else. It's about it's about attitude and perspective.
I was going to say the same thing.
So there you go. So if I was to listen to, how it's supposed to be, then at 72, I should be walking around with slippers on and a cane and I don't know, and starting to fall apart. And some of my friends are not doing so well. They're not walking around with slippers on and a cane, but they've got serious illnesses. Yeah.
The other thing I would say about that is I have had friends' child that has passed away early, at the tender age of 27. And that was devastating, and I can't imagine what that would be like as a parent or a family member. And so I often think about, at this age, then I feel very privileged to be this age. So as I'm getting older, it's another year of privilege where I'm getting older and some of those before us have not lived to this age.
I can remember being somewhere around the age of 18 to 21. And at one particular time, I don't know how old I was, somewhere in that, an older teenager or a young man, and we must have been talking about how long we were going to live. My contribution was, well, Jesus died at 32. There's no way I'm ever going to make that. I don't know where that came from, but
Okay.
yeah.
I'm glad you
I
had some
did.
years beyond that.
Yeah, I had some close calls, but yeah.
Oh dear. Well,
it's
I guess close calls offer that other moment in life where you can go, okay, I'm beyond that, I'm past that, and so I can choose to live or not.
Yeah.
To live well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying. So what else do we want to say about aging?
Let's have a space.
A space. We're going to have a space.
I know that some people have a bucket list.
Bucket. Yep.
And I guess I don't have a bucket list so much as one of the things I've done in life is, you know how you have those thoughts around I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to do this. And there's a whole list of things like I want to do in life. And I think that they can inevitably get put off. When I start to think about changing patterns and some of the things we've talked about before, I've really thought about, okay, do I really want to do this? And then I actually make it happen. For example, I really wanted to go to the country singing, what's the country singing?
Tamworth.
The Tamworth Country Festival. And
It's good, isn't it?
it was fantastic. So Greg and I made that happen. But I just think also sometimes it will be around bringing it back to a daily, not bucket list, because that's the wrong term, but
Well, it's not bucket list either.
Some people need those as well because they've got these unrealistic.
It rhymes.
It does a bit. Unrealistic expectations or things that they shouldn't be pushing themselves around to do. Like, oh, I'm going to meet up with this person, or I'm going to get the girls together, or the social group, or like a friend of mine some years ago talked about a multicultural games group because we wanted more fun in our life, and we did that. So we made that happen. And I'm so grateful because we've had so much fun as a result, and we meet monthly, and we have for, I think we've worked out around 6 or 7 years now. And it's just been a delight. I just think also sometimes it's the day-to-day things. Oh, I think I should just do it.
Yep.
Just plan, strategize, because I think otherwise those things are going to torment us, or they're just going to provide this list that's never going to happen.
Which can make me feel bad.
Yeah.
I've got to list that up. My way of doing it is like, if I've got something that I really want to do, something on my bucket list, then take a step towards it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What things you got in your bucket list?
Too well at the moment. But anyway, I went back and saw friends and family in England and spent some time there. So that was one. I was going to go further than England, but I never made it. But coming out of that was a realisation that there was a lot more travelling that I wanted to do.
Okay.
So on my list is to, not in any particular order, but I guess the biggest part of it is to fly to New York, hire a car, drive all the way down to Vegas, and not down Route 61, but through the heartland.
Okay.
Because as a young boy and teenager, like many others in England, and maybe over here, I don't know, I grew up with all of the movies from that era and from America and the music. So just to drive through there, if it still exists, and then down to Vegas. Don't particularly want to stay in Vegas. Then down to LA and across to Miami, and then down to Mexico City, and then down to Peru, and then dump the car and go trekking in the Andes. So that's just one of the things that I want to do.
Well, I'm looking at you as you're talking about it, and your whole face is lit up, and you're really excited about it. That feels like a really big thing to do.
It's a big thing.
But it feels like it's an exciting thing to work towards.
And there isn't any way of doing a little bit.
Yeah.
So
no, it doesn't sound it.
How do I do a little bit first? I don't know. So I just try and keep it alive.
Yeah, okay.
But there are other things on my bucket. I've got quite a big bucket list.
Well, one of the things that Greg and I wanted to do something together.
Yeah.
And so we joined a band because I love singing. He plays guitar. It's part of a music school, and so it's a band that learns together. And so we're just kind of finding out and working out how it works as a band, and we're all in that same space. So it's somewhat clunky, somewhat fantastic, learning and exploring, and sometimes things come together beautifully and sometimes they're rather clunky. And it's a wonderful experience.
It doesn't matter, does it? It's just the doing of it.
Nah, it's not. And it doesn't matter if you're a person like me who's up and about all the time. Sometimes it's the sitting down that's the more important thing. It's almost the opposite to what you do in life that feels like the thing that is going to give you the most in this moment?
I remember something that should have been on the bucket list, but wasn't really. I just started doing it. Just after I stopped taking drugs, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I thought I need to get fit. And one of the things I'd always loved doing was running. I was living out in the country and on 40 acres, and the house was on the start of a valley, but the driveway went the other way down onto the roadway, and it was a 600-metre driveway. And it's downhill all the way. So I thought I'll just start running. And I'd always been able to do, long distance running. So I ran downhill, I ran down the driveway, and I got to the end of the driveway and I was completely exhausted. So I walked back up and was a little disappointed, but when I thought about it later on, I thought, well, that's okay. I can do 600 metres. So that's where I start.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a long journey, but 8 months later, I ran my first marathon.
Okay.
And I did that by, I was working in the city, and in the place where I was working, there was a gym, and I'd go to the gym at my lunchtime. And one of the guys who owned the gym was into marathon running. And he said to me, "He looks like you're a runner." And I told him, "Yes, I am." He said, "How about training with me for a marathon?" And that's how we did it. The work was in the training. The race, anything could happen. But I did it, and I finished.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a great time. I hurt myself on the way around. And I stopped, which was a sensible thing to do, and realised that after about 10 minutes, I realised I could finish. And so I did, I finished. But yeah.
Fabulous.
It was fabulous.
Was the training meaningful?
How do you mean? I got incredibly fit. You've got no idea how fit you get doing that.
I haven't done the marathon. I've done lots of kind of cross country, and a girlfriend and I have done we've done kilometres together. We'll do 5K together. I haven't done that for a while.
So it was a weekly schedule. So
I guess what I'm thinking of is, because again, the focus can be on the end, kind of the end result. Or
the joy was actually in the training.
That's what I'm getting at.
The race was just like, there was thousands of people, probably hundreds anyway, maybe thousands. And I was in my 50s.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be up the front or anything, so I just wanted to do the run.
Yeah, okay.
That was quite difficult. People wanted to help you along and cheer and give you too much water to drink as you're running along and stuff like that. It was a hot day. It was 31 degrees. So.
But what I'm loving about your story is that in the prep is part of your journey as well.
Yeah, Chris made a timetable for us, and he gave it to me in a spreadsheet.
Okay.
And it was like, it started off as like the first week first week is 2 kilometres, and then you might do the next day was 3 kilometres or whatever, then you have a break. And then you do other exercise too, but the focus was always on the running. And that would gradually accelerate until you got up to, I think I ran around Albert Park Lake on my own, at 35 kilometres.
Okay, that's great.
That was...
It's incredible.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you got my point though.
What's that?
Is that the focus can often be on the end result.
Yeah.
And having done it is an incredible feat. But what I'm also hearing is that the journey was significant. The journey was meaningful and learning, and it really looked after your body.
It did.
Would it be fair to say it's enjoyable?
It was enjoyable. I was going there. I was going to say, yes, it was enjoyable. Sometimes it was really tough.
Yeah.
And occasionally boring, but I would just change what I was doing if it was like that.
Yeah. So you found a way to make it meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. And I was very aware after the first couple of weeks how it was affecting my mind and my body.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was really good.
In a good way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really, really good. I was feeling stronger and healthier in both body and mind.
Okay.
And a lot clearer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm also thinking about when you did your run, it was almost around the experience of everyone else running around you as well, and the excitement of a shared experience or a shared goal or achievement.
Not the marathon, no. I did a lot of smaller runs, like 10, 15, 21K. Mm-hmm. Those were more like that.
Okay.
They were big,
Yeah.
There were lots of people. I've got a picture of me coming up to, it's pouring with rain, me and lots of other competitors, and we're running on what would have been a gravel path
Yeah.
and pouring with rain, and we're coming up towards the end, maybe 400 or 500 meters to go, and we're all laughing. And we're just soaked and covered in mud, and we're just laughing. It was a joy.
Okay.
It was an absolute joy. It had nothing to do with finishing. We all knew we'd finish.
Okay.
It was great. It was kind of like a bit of a, oh, we finished. Yeah. It was really, really good. I loved it.
That's great.
Now, the bigger runs, like the marathon, there's a lot of fuss around it. It's quite a serious thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a story inside the marathon. I hurt myself, yeah, and so I stopped. And I talked to somebody, one of the people looking after everyone, and I said, I think I can go. He said, well, yeah, okay. There's a slight hill here. He said, it's mostly hills, slight hill all the way back. So why don't you just walk up this first part of the hill, and you could see it was straight, and then it went round the corner. And he said, let's see how you go. And if you're not okay, stop again. And if you're okay, then you can run. He said that'll give you a warm-up as well, which was really good advice, so I took it and I did it. I'm walking up this hill and I walk past this guy who's not walking, he's running. You'd call it shuffling. So I sort of paced with him and talked to him, and he was clearly quite old. And I don't remember the exact conversation, but it turns out he's 86 years old.
Oh.
And he's running in a marathon that's 42.2 kilometres. And he's done every single Melbourne marathon there is.
Oh.
And he said to me, I didn't want to do this one. And I said, so what are you doing? He said, it's the first one I didn't want to do. He said, well, because my wife wanted to do it. And she's got sort of early stage Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. And so she was worried that she would get lost or forget what she was doing. And so I looked around and I said, well, where is she? And he said, oh, I don't know, she's miles ahead. So, at which point I said goodbye and left him to it. And
What a
carried on
delightful
running.
story.
Yeah. Yeah, I found out later from somebody that he finished. Yeah,
Okay. That's the gold, isn't it? Those
Yeah,
meetings
it was.
along the way.
It was.
You
It
know,
was
and
good.
it sounds like that experience stayed with you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was two friends actually waited all that time, like 3.5, 4 hours, for me to run past near the end.
Yeah.
I just thought that must have been totally boring, but they were.
And they did that for you.
Yeah, they did.
That's another story, isn't
That
it?
was finishing the marathon was good, and we were in the MCG, in the middle of the MCG when it finished, and you could hang around, and there was all these free massages, and people had to go and collect the things. I'd arranged it. I was staying in a hotel, so I'd left all my stuff there and could get it later. And I had a little bag which I picked up. And I didn't go and get a massage. I walked all the way up Swanson Street, and my body is slowly locking up, and it starts spasming after.
Oh.
Got to the Swanston baths and went in there, paid to get in, and I actually just laid in the water for about 4 hours.
Oh, dear.
Just
Okay.
while my body came back to. So it was an incredible experience.
What an experience.
Yeah. So you start cramping and spasming and all sorts of things. It would have been a really good idea to have had a massage.
I guess that's what it was there for.
Yes, that's correct. And I didn't, yeah. So that was good.
Yeah. I was thinking about my experience in the band. Each term we do a concert. And the concerts are made up of all people learning as well. And we'd practice this particular song called Calling You by Kate Ceberano, which is brilliant. And
Like her.
yeah, she's amazing, isn't she? Anyway, so I'd been working on this song and we'd been making it with the band. It was a song that Greg and I had chosen. And come the concert night, and there was a few other songs we had done. And I couldn't hit the notes, the high notes. And I'd never had any problems with hitting the notes during the practices. Come the band on the night, I couldn't hit the notes and needed to keep going and sang the verses, but it was in the chorus just hitting the notes, some of the most important words around calling you, and I couldn't do it. And it reminded me of it when you were talking about when you're finishing the marathon and you're laughing.
No, the shorter race as well.
Oh, shorter race.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was just that thought around kind of laughing to myself because there's nothing I could do about it. And there's a concert hall. There's all these people sitting there and it's like, oh. And I guess to feel better about myself at the end of the song, I went, whoa, that did not happen in practice. I was able to hit those notes. So I kind of laughed about it with everyone. And then I had to go on and sing 2 more songs and was hoping I'd be able to have them a bit more coherent. And they worked out well. But I just think I liked that experience as well.
But you couldn't hit the notes.
Yeah, because I survived it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
fine,
okay.
isn't it?
I get
Isn't that often people's fears around? I'm not going to be able to do this, or I'll make a fool of myself.
Yeah.
And my philosophy has always been, I'll make a fool for people. I'll make a fool of myself for people, because if they're going to feel good about themselves, or they're going to feel like they can survive it, or that they've learnt from it. And I particularly think about my children and their partners and my grandchildren, and I just think, what a wonderful story. Their nan or mum or friend screwed up a song and continued on and laughed about it and lived on to tell a tale, and hopefully did some songs with the band that worked out really well, but had to go through that process, or could go through that process, and chose to keep going.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
I think it's an important part of my story, or part of my learning that I want to offer to my children or to those around me, because life didn't end. It was a bit ridiculous, and I don't think anyone in the hall worried about me not hitting the notes, which is interesting.
Yeah, that wasn't their focus.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No. So I think sometimes we can get fixated about, I'm going to screw up, I'm going to muck it up, it's not going to work.
I have a fear around that, which takes me back to aging. Which is like, I'm getting older, and I already said some of it, I'll need something to help me walk. I have to wear a nappy. I'll have to go into a home. I'll start losing my memory. That's a big one for me. And so I remember having this very brief conversation with my daughter Chloe not long ago. She was suggesting that perhaps I'd like to come and live near her. And that's a long way away. And I said, well, that's very nice, thank you. But my life is here. And she had some objection about that, and was telling me, suggesting that I could do that now or soon. Mm-hmm. And I stuck to it. And I said, look, when I get to the point that I don't know what I'm doing, or if I need to be put in a home, and particularly when I can't do things for myself mentally, when that's gone, just take me out into the back garden and shoot me. And she said, absolutely not, Dad. I won't be doing that at all.
Somewhat harsh
for
you, and definitely for Chloe.
Yeah, I guess it is. I didn't think about it.
No, you didn't. It sounds like...
I just sort of said
listeners, maybe not say that. Maybe not.
Too late, I already did.
Yeah, but maybe not say that to those around you.
Well, I didn't mean it literally, but anyway, I said it. Yeah. It's just like, I find that really frightening.
Yeah, I think it is for those people who face it as well. And I can think about different people who've become incontinent, and for different reasons, and that's part of their life, and that can be for young women or men, or they're facing being crippled, or those sorts of things, injuries or brain injuries, and have faced that with bravery. And for me, that just inspires me again. And I just think they might be some of the things we face, Kevin.
Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah.
It is whatever it is.
Well, it's just one day at a time, I think. Regardless.
I think you stole that from me.
What did I do?
One day at a time. Yeah, it is. It's just a day.
Yeah. And if things are hard, sometimes it's a moment. Moment at a time. Or this moment. Or getting lost in a moment to offer you something different.
My memory has always been interesting, always, my whole life. But now, because I've got older, whenever something happens in my memory, I go, oh, am I getting ill? And I'm not. And that's just the way it's always been. It'll jump around.
Yeah. I think society tells us that as we're aging that we need to slow down and we need to back off and we need to hunch over.
Retire.
And we
Retire.
need to...
How's retirement? Somebody said to me, are you retired? And I said, I did. I said, what do you mean I did? I said, well, boring. What do you do now? I'm doing whatever I like. I'm still working. It's just, yeah. And I've got a story about that, but I might have told it. About my father. He's an inspiration. He'd been working for the same company so long and they treated him okay, you know. But I remember when he retired at 65, he wasn't talking to me. I think he must have been talking to my mum. But he came home and I was there and I think my two brothers were there and my sister as well. So we were all there and I had this brief conversation with my mum, something about retiring.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought out this gold pocket watch and said, yeah, this is what they gave me. And he said it with some feeling. That was it, you know, and it disappeared. I never saw the watch again. Anyway, he was retired and he had some money. So him and my mum did some travelling and they had an interesting time. And then they were back home again. And he was like restless, extremely restless. My mum was still working. So there was a knock on his door one day and it was a friend of his saying, another friend of theirs, a farmer, wanted some trees chopped down because they had Dutch elm disease. So they had all the equipment, you know, chainsaws and trailers, and they went and did it. And it's a long story, so I cut it short, but him and his friend, who was also recently retired, ended up running a business doing, what do they call it today, looking after trees? Doesn't matter, arbiters?
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, but mostly taking down trees on farms.
Arborists.
Arborists, that's it.
Yeah.
And they did that until they were 86.
Oh.
And they only took the work that they wanted to take, and they never did more than, I think it was 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay.
And on the basis of that, he told me and somebody else, he earned more money doing that than he ever did working.
And he enjoyed it?
He loved it. He had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, until my brother went out with them one day and he said, I had to stop them. So they were just so dangerous. Dad's got no protective stuff on and the chainsaw's going and it's just waving about down by his leg. So they were way past it. So I helped them finish that and persuaded him not to do it anymore. Yeah.
An inspiring story, nevertheless.
It is, yeah. He did it and he enjoyed it and they got to do lots of interesting things. They travelled more, yeah, whatever.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
Janine and I were just having a discussion about, so how are we going to finish this? And I said, that's it, just don't get old.
How's that working for anybody?
I don't care. How's it working for me? That's the point.
Okay. Is it working for you?
No.
Okay. Maybe there is something in that. Don't get old.
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
Don't have the attitude of I'm old. I guess in terms of when people are saying, oh, I'm getting old, I say older. Because when is old? Is it some sort of age? I mean, when we're young, we think of old as in your
32.
30s. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So maybe it's always older. And I don't know, but I want to live life to the full as much as I can. And again, as I've mentioned, that can mean many things for many different people. And I've been that active person. So sometimes that is for me, as much as I hate saying it, and I'm going to have people telling me this back again, especially my family, is for some people when they've been very busy or doing lots, they need to sit. They need to slow down, and they need to do the pondering thing.
So what's your family going to say about that?
Oh, they're going to say,
Mum, you said, and you have to have a seat. You have to sit down and behave and not do anything. Mum, are you sitting down? Mum.
something like that. Something like that.
In that voice as well?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Ash has come over to see what's going on.
She just goes, are you all right?
Okay. So, ponder.
Ponder.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I believe in pondering.
I don't think I ponder much. Maybe I'll try that.
There's another podcast for us.
Pondering.
Ah.
A pondering podcast. Pee-pee. Oh.
Is it that time to finish?
I think we've gone past finishing time. All right, so, yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.